Okay, so again, thank you all for coming. If you want to put it in the chat, where you are coming from, the organization you're coming to us from as well, by all means do that as well. Um, so today we have the session Ready, Set, Innovate with Polly Jones from National Inventors Hall of Fame. Polly Jones is a regional program manager working with school districts across New York State. Polly is a former educator who loved promoting creativity and discovery in her classroom. What better way to place work after 30 years in education than the National Inventors Hall of Fame? She received her Bachelor's of Science in Psychology from Duke University, as well as a BS and MLIS from Kent State University. So welcome, Polly. We're very excited to have you. I am the STEAM coordinator from the Network for Youth Success, and I will be checking the chat for her as well. So by all means, write something in there. Come off mute or raise your hand, maybe. That would be a great way
My
to.
little golden heart.
And again, just make sure we're all on
She's a
mute
top
just for the
baby.
time of the presentation. And I'm going to pass it over to Polly.
Friends with my niece.
Thanks, Abby, so much. I'm really excited to be here with you all. I started here 3 years ago and really knew very little about New York, but my job offers me the opportunity to come visit all parts of New York. So I have, I think, visited about 80 to 90% of my partners in New York now, met most of them in person, and I really love traveling throughout your state. Really fun. People are friendly, and it's been a really great experience for me. As a former educator, I really love the approach that they take to education, and so it's one of my driving forces for giving professional development, just because I want to share it. I love what we do. So welcome, and I am just gonna jump right in. If you have questions, like Abby said, she's going to be watching the chat for us, but feel free to interrupt me if you have a burning question. Don't mind that at all. So first, I just want to start a little bit about who we are, who the National Inventors Hall of Fame is. We're a national nonprofit. We are in partnership with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. We have been for 50 years. And our mission is to inspire, honor, and challenge through our educational programming. And we've been in the educational space for about 33 years. And we partner with 1,600 districts across the country. These three photos embody a little bit of what our mission is. Pamela Maroney is one of our inductees to the National Inventors Hall of Fame. Our museum is in Alexandria, Virginia, and it features our inventors. She is an entomologist, and she developed and brought to market effective, environmentally responsible, nature-based products for pest management and plant health. So that is why she was inducted, but we have over 600 inductees. And one of the things that I really enjoy about the company is how we take their stories and use them in our messaging and in our curriculum. So I'll be talking about several of our inductees as we go through. Another piece of our mission is that we promote creativity and advance the spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship. So the middle photo there is a picture of some recent finalists to, actually winners to the Collegiate Inventors Competition, which we sponsor. These graduate and undergraduate students compete kind of like a Shark Tank, I guess, in a way, that TV show. But they win a fast track to the U.S. Patent and Trademark attorneys, and are able to patent their invention and a cash prize as well. So it is a fun yearly competition, and I was able to attend this past fall, and just so much excitement. These kids are amazing. And then, of course, the picture on the right is of one of our programs. This is OptiBot, which is a little robot that uses sensors to follow light, and that black line that's on the paper there. So we have multiple programs that we offer. with our partner schools, and I'll talk a little bit about those, but mostly the pedagogy behind them today. So our agenda, is to talk about STEM through invention education and the I can invent mindset. So we're going to talk about those. We have developed a design thinking process that just has our own kind of unique spin on it that I want to talk to you about. And then we'll talk about how you can implement some of these just independently in your classroom. And I hope that you all have fun. So we're going to start talking about invention education. And at its core, invention education is bridging the gap between classroom learning and real life. So students are encouraged to make connections between the concepts that they learn in school and apply them to solving real world problems. So they're making their learning more meaningful and engaging. It's a unique approach to learning that challenges students through hands-on problem solving. I think one of the greatest things about it is that they are becoming more empathetic because they're given challenges that are real-world problems. They're able to see people that are affected by them, and they want to help and they want to find solutions. And so it really builds empathy among our students. So I mentioned, of course, our inventors, and one of the things that we've done with these individuals, when we can, we have historic inventors as well as current day, and we interview them and talk about their stories. And one of the questions that we always ask is, what are the skills that you feel are important competencies for us to develop in our children? And so we've kind of whittled that down to these 9 different things. And so when I say that it's a little bit of a unique to us, I would imagine that you wouldn't normally see intellectual property or entrepreneurship in a list like this. But because our founding partner is the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, these are very apparent in our programming. And, keeping in mind that the inductees to the Hall of Fame are also all patent holders, it's important to them too. So it takes STEM beyond just the creation to learning how to protect it and learning how to market it and to pitch it. So it extends kind of beyond the normal idea of what you think of with the design process. So I hope most of you, maybe not all, but I hope that most of you received a kit from me in the mail. You did good. I'm seeing some thumbs up and some head shakes. Thank you. If you have that handy, I'd like you to pull the little booklet out. Don't know if you can still see me, but the booklet is like this. And this is a invention project kit that is for middle school students, but I wanted to use it with you today because it definitely will walk you through this design thinking project process. Okay. And so here's a very simplistic one that has 6 steps: identify, explore, sketch, prototype, protect, and pitch. And again, like I said, prototyping and protecting are steps that you may not normally see, but we're going to unpack these and talk about them today and talk about why we think that they're important. So if you'll turn to page 7 and 8, we're going to jump right into this identify. There's a couple of things on this page that I really love. We're going to talk about the rules of brainstorming, which are on the top of page 8 there. And in that white box, when we're asking kids to identify a problem, one of the things that we often do is we'll take a common item and we'll ask them, if you had this, what would you want? What would you, how could you, um, sorry, I got distracted by people entering the weight room. Is everyone in, Abby? I'm filling in that sentence. I wish I
Yes,
had
I'm
a
getting
blank that could do this. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. I think I switched my screen the wrong way. So here are some common examples: a toothbrush, an umbrella, a water bottle, or sunglasses. So if you picked one of those or had your students in your after school program pick one of these and said, wouldn't it be great if your umbrella could do this? So I was telling Abby that we are expecting 5 days of full on 100% rain in the next, we've got flood warnings, we've got all sorts of things. So, thinking about the weather coming up, what might I want my umbrella to be able to do for me in that circumstance? We give them common items so that they can try to improve something and come up with a problem that they think of when they think of this item. You're providing the opportunity for them to actively explore where deeper knowledge is going to be acquired. This piece of identifying is filled with discussion, having critical thinking. You want them to be able to think divergently and to think collaboratively in a safe environment, so obviously you want them to be able to respect one another's ideas as well. So that's why these rules of brainstorming that accept all ideas is super important, because you want them to feel that they're in a safe place. The dialogue will be formal and informal. It can be paired, small group, whole group. Children and adults can both put forth ideas. They'll look at them and create meaning with them and invent new ideas and ways to share them. So that's what this whole first step of identifying is coming up with conversations that are going to help figure out, where am I going to go next with this idea? And so once they've picked an item, and you might, hopefully, as you're going through this booklet, I really do want you to be thinking about what item you might pick of those four or of your own. In the booklet, you'll see that they have backpack, headphones, bicycle, and roller skate as an example as well. So think about what kinds of things you might want to look at when you're identifying. When we move on to explore, we're picking one of those ideas and we're going to work on filling in the second blank of that question. So I mentioned my umbrella. What is it that I might want my umbrella to do for me? One of the things that, and just in starting this conversation, one of the things I've always hated about umbrellas is how wet they are and how they drip when you come inside. There's no neat, easy way to bring a wet umbrella inside. So that might be what I want it to do. I want it to dry or stay dry or be dry. Something like that might be a thought. And so there are, if you turn the page here to page 9 and 10, your idea selection here is really to be positive. You don't want to say, oh, that won't work. You really want the kids to stay focused on being positive about coming up with the best ideas and looking at them in a positive light. You are checking your goals. You're looking for originality. I might, say I want my umbrella to do something, but then realize that, like umbrellas are so big, but we know we already have small umbrellas. So I need an original idea. And just to go with your gut and to not overthink things. So wouldn't it be great if my umbrella could stay dry or could dry itself? That type of thing. While you're doing this, it's important to create an environment where your students feel that they're in an atmosphere of learning, so that establishing those brainstorming ideas that we talked about earlier, but also this questioning, again, that it's in a safe, no risk setting. Okay. So I want to give you a couple of minutes to do those two steps. You do not have to pick one of the ideas that are either in the slideshow or the booklet, but try to think of some item and complete that sentence. Wouldn't it be great if this could do that? Or I wish I had a blank that could do that. Did the example or did the write-up of my session say that you were going to have to do these things? Anyone willing to share?
I can. I wish I had something that would clean my dog's paws for her without me having to get down and clean them for her.
Nice. All right. Awesome. I'm trying to think of what that's like. Like typically we try to adapt something that we already have. So like a towel that would clean my dog's paws without me having to get down on the floor or something like,
yes.
something like that. Okay. Nice, Alyssa. Thank you. I have a dog as well, and I was just telling my daughter how dirty the carpet is from coming in all winter with, yucky paws and feet. Anyone else want to share? All right, we will go ahead.
I'm sorry, I wanted to share one just because.
Oh, please do, Nadia. Thank you.
One of our students jokingly said this the other day. They have like a fancy leather book bag for school. And he literally said, I wish I had a book bag that could charge all of my devices at one time.
No, that's perfect. That is absolutely what I'm talking about. Yes.
He's 8, by the way. I'm like, how many devices do you have? But he listed them, and I just stood quiet after that.
That is great though. I want you and those of you if you didn't do the exercise as we go on, think about these two examples, the muddy dog's feet and this backpack that needs to be able to charge multiple devices, because we're going to move on with the process. And I want you to be able to be thinking visibly, so that it is more concrete for us as we go through this. Thinking visibly, look at that. So the next step in this, if you turn the page, is sketching. And this was one of those common things that the inventors said when we started this process of interviewing them, is that every inventor has an inventor log. Has somewhere where they keep their ideas and where they keep their sketches, and how they start looking at their prototypes. And so in all of our programming, you will see that we have this booklet we call our inventor log. And that is a straight advice from those inventors who said you absolutely need to have that. And so it does a couple of things, but most importantly, it empowers them to be able to share their ideas and also to expand on them. So if it's just an idea in their head, it might be a little bit harder for them to really show you or visualize it. But if they are able to sketch it, It's amazing. I was telling Abby that I did this workshop up in Brighton with some third, fourth, and fifth graders. And, as they were, the first step that they had to do was they had to sketch, their idea for a space rover. And as I went around and asked them to tell me about their space rover, they could do it in such detail because they're looking at that image that they've drawn. And even though you and I might look at that image and really have no idea what it is, they see it and they're able to point to the different parts and they're able to say, one of them was, this is compressed air. And when we flip this lever, the compressed air is going to release, which is going to make the space rover float. I mean, that's how detailed they were able to get. And just the idea of sketching that out helps them express those ideas. So when I say sketching, really just a pencil and a sheet of paper. It's a good way for them to get multiple thoughts down at one time. And they are then more easily able to share it with their teammates. It can also be a math activity because you can start talking about scale and dimension, graphic design, architecture as career pathways. There's lots of things that can go into this sketching. So on pages 11 and 12 in your inventor log, there are some other suggestions and tools that you can reference for how you can go about doing that sketching. But I want to show you a video. This is one of our inventors talking about why sketching is important to him. And give me thumbs up if it starts to play and hear like you have video and audio right away.
Just so you know, I think
as
you're,
fast as I possibly could sketching it up.
oh,
before I
we can
lost
hear it, but the,
I had it on paper.
it's not shared
And then
anymore.
it's
We can't
immediately,
see the
once it's on
screen.
paper, it
Not working?
It's that we can't see your screen. Do you want to try resharing? It came back to you.
I can see it.
You can see? Oh, no,
Yes.
is it me
The
then?
gentleman with a notebook.
Notebook that says my great idea, and there's a guy, his name's Don Arnie, talking. Okay.
just expanded, expanded, and expanded. And that led to another element, another element, another element. It's just basically, the idea was there. When you're doing that process, inventing something, building something, you're always sketching. And it's kind of an important part of the constant priming of the pump to be drawing, just like a writer, by writing is constantly drawing on that creative process.
It is important to note that sketches are meant to be quick and messy, with imperfect lines. They are simply a way to get ideas out of our minds and onto paper, so that we can start to work with them. Be sure not to overthink your sketches or judge your artistic ability. If it helps you bring your idea into the world, then it is a successful sketch.
By the way, Don Arnie invented the basket that's filled with water to put out forest fires. So that's what his patent is for, and why he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So I would like you to just take a couple of minutes and sketch an idea. So you can work on the backpack, you can work on the muddy paws, but sketch your new idea. You can write, sketch, color, label, any design elements that are necessary for you to start the process of your invention idea. We're going to let it be really quick, just because I don't want to run out of time. So I'm going to go on here, and we'll share again in a little bit. I'm going to read a quote to you by Steve Sasson. He is a New York inventor. Anyone know what he invented? He has an amazing story. He worked for Kodak in Rochester, and he was an electrical engineer. Most of the engineers working at Kodak were mechanical engineers, but they hired him to come in and solve a problem for them. And in the process of solving that problem, he invented the digital camera. He did this back in the 1970s. So if you think about that, it's kind of odd because we didn't have digital cameras back in the 1970s. Kodak made the decision to not let him, like he got the patent, but they didn't let him talk about the idea of the digital camera because for Kodak, they really thought that it would be the end of their business with no film and with no printing paper and things like that. So they did not let him market the idea until afterwards. And so he wasn't recognized as the inventor of the digital camera till much later. But great guy. He visits my camp invention programs in the summer, and I've gotten to know him pretty well. He's pretty great. So his quote, sorry, I never read the quote, is, as prototypes unfold, they allow you to work on things. They allow you to make changes. Prototypes don't often work. They break, they change, you have new ideas. You have to manipulate them a lot. And your prototype has to be flexible. So we use inventions every day, but we don't often stop to think about how many versions or mock-ups or iterations of a product something went through before we actually use it. So you might just think about that the next time you use your toothbrush or flip on a light switch or whatever. Think about, the time that it took for someone to come up with the idea. And you can talk to your kids in your programs about identifying inventions in the classroom and think about what those prototypes might have looked like. In your bags, your bag has materials. I think for time, we may skip this step. I was going to have you build your prototypes and do that. How many of you actually have something you could build? Is it just the two that shared, or do the rest of you have something?
I have something regarding when children are playing with toys or materials that need to be cleaned, sanitized. I keep thinking about a machine that you can just insert the object or the toy or the whatever it is, have it steam cleaned in the machine, and also have it dried, and then it just come out under, and or something that would be able to go around and just pick up any toys that it picks up that it's dirty or has been mouthed by any of the children. So that's just something I I think of a lot, rather than having to pick up all the toys and cleaning them and sanitizing them to ensure that
I imagine you think about them a lot because you do that a lot, right? Every day you're picking up after them and you're having to clean. Yes, I have worked in situations where I've had to do that too, so I can see totally where that's coming from. Another awesome example. All right, I am going to go ahead and skip through to here and talk to you about the next step. So once that prototype is built, this is where, sorry, if you skip ahead to page 19 and 20 in your book, this is where some of these things that maybe you don't typically think of as STEM design come in. So intellectual property, and you have a folder in your materials bag that is just as they work on things that they could keep it in the folder. But you'll see the cover that has lots of information about IP, intellectual property. But it refers to creations of the mind, such as inventions, but also literary or artistic works. They can be designs or symbols, names and images that are used in commerce. And so intellectual property rights protect ownership over those works or inventions. We used to say that we have a program called Camp Invention that runs for a week. It's a summer camp. And we used to say that at the end of the week, one of the things that we wanted kids to know was that their ideas have value. And so that's what IP is all about. Having these kids know that if they've designed something, if they've used their own, brain power to come up with this idea, and they've sketched it and they've built a prototype, that it's valuable. Even if other people can't identify the sketch and the prototype looks nothing like the sketch or what the final product would look like, it is still important and it still has value. That's a really powerful thing to know, that my ideas have value. I think it helps build confidence in our students as well. So here are some different types of intellectual property. The patents are used to protect inventions, machines, processes, compositions of matter, things like that. Anyone know an example of a good trade secret? Any idea what that might be? Go ahead, Alyssa.
Would that be like the Coca-Cola recipe?
Exactly.
Like that.
Coca-Cola recipe. It's written in my notes here. Yes, the Coca-Cola recipe is a perfect example. Trademarks are protected brand names, logos, symbols, slogans, or distinctive signs. The R in a circle means that it's registered, a registered trademark. And then the copyrights are original works of art authorship, like writing, art, architecture, or music. So there's different types of intellectual property. We will have students in our program apply for patents for their inventions and have them go through that process and give them this little certificate that gives them, the patent to their prototype. When I reach out to you after this, I'm going to send you this article that's just about the value of teaching intellectual property, so that you have that. It's interesting to, like I said before, go through your day and think about prototyping, but also think about all of the different things that are patented and the intellectual property that's around you. We want not only to have kids code and design and invent, but we also want them to learn how to protect what they create. Okay, so that is page 19 and 20 in your book. And what intellectual property does is it gives them an incentive to create, because without the protections, the theft of ideas would be pretty commonplace. So when you think about all those products that you use and the entertainment content that you can consume, and think about all that, like I said, power, that hidden power of IP. And so on page 19 and 20 in your inventor log, you will see that there's an application for a patent. You can create a logo for your Muddy Feet design or for your backpacks. And creating that logo, being looking at color and style and originality and things like that. So using this is what the next step of our process would be. And then after that, we talk about pitching your idea. So just like in Shark Tank, they're going to come back to class and they're going to share their ideas with other people, trying to get them to get an investor or, just to to let them know. And it's storytelling, really. Why is this an important thing? What it has that empathy piece in that I talked about earlier of, why is this an important thing? So you're building basic business skills. You're taking children and making them curious and risk takers and leaders who can follow their dreams and inspire others. And so they are telling the world about their invention. It's a short story. What are its unique features? Who's the audience? Who will buy it? What are the visuals? How much will it cost? I do have another share thing here, but we haven't really created anything yet to share. Does anyone want to add anything or have any questions? I really want to get in. Oh, yes, June.
I work with the Wayne County Economic Council, and they do a pitch program every year, and it has two categories. One is for teenagers and one is for adults, and the teenagers can win up to $5,000, and they have to submit a whole plan on it's an entrepreneurship, some type of business that they are planning to start. They have to have a complete budget and all that, and then they do a video with their pitch. And then I'm one of the evaluators, and I get to judge them, and
how
it's so
fun.
much fun, and the kids are just over the top with it. It's really great to see.
They become very invested, don't they?
Yes.
It's the process works. I mean, I think that's a testament to that that getting them to that point.
Yep.
They are engaged for sure.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. I love the idea of that program. Okay, I want to move into how you can do this in your own after school program. These are our best practices of how you can get your students to be doing some of this just on your own. So we're going to talk about the easy strategies for the classroom or out of school time program. I'm going to show you another video. This is one of my favorite inductees. Her name is Jackie Quinn. And again, working.
I wonder whether I can provide some sort of catalyst for making our planet a better place upon which to live. As an innovator, I'll start out with attacking a problem going, I wonder if, and I think just that questioning, that I wonder statement is the best way to open up your innovation portal. Both of my parents were science educators. I think that when I look at me and the opportunities I had and what I was eventually going to become, really didn't have any other option than to go into science because I had such great role models. Being raised with a family that always wanted to be out experiencing the wonders of nature started it off. I started out as a new hire. I came and worked on the shuttle program. And for a couple of years, I worked on different shuttles, preparing them for spaceflight. And that in itself is a really awe-inspiring adventure. I had an opportunity to switch gears and start moving into a field that allowed me to begin restoration of contaminated groundwater. Groundwater contamination is certainly a global problem. EZVI stands for Emulsified Zero Valent Iron, and it is an emulsion and water system used to degrade contamination in the subsurface of your groundwater. I've been extremely fortunate to work with some amazing scientists and researchers here at the Kennedy Space Center and also at the university. Without them, we would not have developed these technologies because team settings create some of the most prosperous and productive environments. EZVI is one of the most licensed technology for NASA to date. most people think of NASA as having space and aerospace and up and out. And one of the technologies that's been licensed the most is actually one that's literally down and in. I think it's neat to kind of be part of that first mission. It goes and looks for those first sets of resources that may enable that further human exploration past the moon, on to Mars and beyond. I wonder what it's going to be like in 50 years to live on another planetary body. I wonder what it's going to take to get us there.
So she uses that I wonder statement that is very similar to what, we're talking about. And one of the ways that you can do this with your students, picture of a paper bag here with a big question mark on it. If you were to go to the dollar store or go into one of your classrooms or go into the school, wherever you go, and just pick up some odds and ends. We did this as an activity here at work, and they gave me a toilet roll holder. that was what I had. But just common items, and put it in a bag, and the kids get to choose which bag that they're going to do. And the question is going to be, wouldn't it be great if you could take this and make it do this? And so that challenge is a really engaging hook for this activity, to say, okay, what can I make this do? I mean, it makes them curious. It makes them think. One of the strategies that, or one of the tools I think that's helpful to make this work is really getting to know your students' interests. And so we recommend finding an interest survey online and having your students do that, just so that you can get to know them, know what their private interests are. It helps you connect with them, but it also helps you plan for the content and the processing and the product that you're going to use with them. And you're tweaking and differentiating a little by your students to to do that. And some researchers have said that while students are naturally curious, that when you give them something that actually has personal meaning and has context to them, that that really boosts that curiosity that much more. And people also even argue that just the idea of interest, first of all, that it is an emotion. And I'd never really thought of it as an emotion before, but that it really ties into an emotion that affects our overall well-being. If the kids aren't interested at all day in anything that they do, you can see how that would affect their overall well-being. So trying to come up with some of these activities that are student choice, student interest, to make sure that they are engaged in them is helpful. I've already told you this, but that them having this student inventor log is important, says our inductees. But also, when you tell them that you are an inventor, you are giving them that power right away. And having that log solidifies their identity as an inventor. We have on our website some different STEM handbooks that are all free resources, but one of them is a bookmaking activity. So you could have them make their own books using these resources, and then turn that into their inventor log. This one is probably to me the most important. If you're thinking about taking a backpack and making a prototype, if you don't have any materials to make that happen, it's going to be a lot harder to build a prototype. So making sure that you have a cart or a box or a bin or something that has prototyping materials in it is very important. You want them to be easily available. You want them to have a wide variety. And I think it does a couple of things. It helps them figure out what they're thinking. I'm going to need this and I'm going to need this. But then it also sparks ideas as well. When they see a material, they might say, "Ooh, if I use that, I could do this," and it could, spark a whole new thing. So, you don't want to block their invention just because you don't think you have the most perfect materials. You just want to find lots of materials that can be everyday objects, and those can produce really great results. So we use recyclables. They're easy. They're, people are going to throw them away. They're, very easy to use. This picture of these two gentlemen here, they used a yogurt container and duct tape to make their prototype, and it is a life-saving infant respirator. But it was originally prototyped with a yogurt cup. So, it doesn't have to be fancy, things. It can really be recyclables and things like that. A list of things that are safe to use versus unsafe. Of course, you want to make sure that when you're providing them materials that they are safe. But really, recyclables are a great way. And you can ask, your students to contribute to that too. So this is one of my favorites. I want to see if you can look at this and figure out what it is a prototype of. Any guesses? Can you see it well enough?
Would it be a rifle?
It is kind of like a rifle.
Is it a super soaker?
It is a super soaker.
I'm
Good
telling
job,
my age.
It is a super soaker. So Lonnie Johnson is the inventor of the super soaker, and he was inducted in 2022, but he created his prototype using PVC pipe and a soda bottle. And he made it in his bathroom at home. So, it was not one of those, those things that every child can be an inventor. When they learn about people like Lonnie Johnson, who did this in his home and made it out of a 2-liter soda bottle and has now generated over $1 billion in sales over its lifetime. It's pretty eye-opening of what you can do if you can, have an accomplishment like that. But that isn't all that he is doing. He is currently working on what he calls the Johnson thermoelectrochemical converter, which is going to convert waste heat to electrical energy. And then it can be run in reverse as a cooling device as well. So he has lots of great ideas, but this prototype is on display in our museum in Alexandria, Virginia. So, all right, with your materials, you should have received this poster. It is this is a more polished version of what I showed you earlier, but you'll see that it has quotes from the different inductees. And I just, now that, I've given you some understanding of what the I Can Invent mindset is, I just wanted to ask what resonates with you here.
I will say I love the idea of like the ownership model for students. I feel like that's such a you had said how it gives them the value of their work, and I love that idea and that mindset of giving students that value in what they do, and
My ideas have value for sure.
exactly. Yeah, I
Thanks,
think
Abby.
that's a unique mindset through this that I really liked.
Thank you. To me, I think it ties really well in with the confidence piece as well. In our programming, we've done research for 25 years, and one of the things that we see that is highly influenced by our programming is comparing confidence at the beginning of the program versus the end, and how students are much more likely to share their ideas and be confident about them as well. So you guys got this poster. You can refer to that. You guys have any questions?
Are there materials like on your website that we can order if we need to? Books
Not-
and or we
Materials
make
for
our
what do
own
you
logs?
have in mind, June?
Like this portfolio thing, things like that.
Um,
Or is that
that kit
just
that I sent you is where you find that folder. So, but
oh,
yes,
okay.
that kit can be ordered.
Oh,
Um,
it can. Okay.
a lot of the things like what I was hoping to do was show you like here's what our program does, but here's how you can do it. You don't need me to do that challenge
No,
activity.
right,
You
right,
can
right.
do it however you want. You can um you can make a folder with construction paper and give it to the kids, and it be their inventor folder where they keep their ideas, that type
Yeah.
of thing. um Yes, we sell it in a prettier, version or whatever, but it's,
Whatever. Yeah.
it's not necessary. I wanted you to come away knowing that the process was doable in your programs.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it seems very doable.
We do have, a document that talks about our different programs that I will attach and send to you
Oh,
when I
okay.
follow up with you. We have currently 3 different programs. Our Camp Invention is kind of our flagship program that is a 1 week long after school, or not after school, sorry, a 1 week long summer camp for kindergarten through 6th graders. And um, the Invention project is really what a lot of out of school time people have been using, and that the design thinking project kit that I sent you is an invention project kit. Those
Okay.
are pre-K through middle school, and they are really customizable and packaged nicely for your after school setting, where you saw it. It comes in a plastic bag. There's a sticker inside. They can put their name on and put it on the outside. And at the end of, when they go home, they can put all the materials back in the bag, and you just have to keep the bag for them for next time. And then we also have a program that's more similar to camp, that is called Club Invention, that we have some programs. It doesn't have the digital version like Camp and Invention Project do.
Okay.
But you asked about some other resources. Here are some things just to learn more about our company. YouTube, if you look at National Inventors Hall of Fame, we have so many videos. Our creative team that is here in-house with me, they work right here. Our award-winning videographers, the stuff that they do, the stuff I showed you, they create. We're also on Google Arts and Culture. You can go in and see the museum, do a virtual tour of that. And we do write a blog and have white papers. This next slide, if you want to scan this QR code, it will give you free access to the educator resources and the hands-on activities that we have. So I put that on there so you could go ahead and do that. Abby, I'm finishing with 3 minutes left. Aren't you proud of me?
Yeah, you did great. This was super awesome. While you were going through stuff too, I looked through the the inductees list too.
Oh,
and I was,
thank you. Meant to
yeah,
mention.
and I really enjoyed that. I'm also just curious if you were to use those inductees as like a mentor model, that whole like role model, is it easier to use it through that search, or is it better? Do you have like the video clips through the YouTube page? Is that like a better way to use it in the classroom?
So the database that we have online, if you go into invent.org and look under the inductees, there's a searchable database. And it's just kind of fun because you can search by state, you can search by company, you can search, by all sorts of different things. So you can pull them up. First year that I worked here, I sent like a happy birthday, like it's this inventor's birthday to your community. If he came from, like Steve Sasson was in Rochester, I sent it to my Rochester partners to say, hey, it's Steve's birthday, here's what he invented. So there's lots of different uses to that, but we love the idea of having these be our kids' role models, that these inventors be their role models. So you can identify them that way. The newer ones do have videos. And so, kind of using both, I guess, because every time we have a new class of inductees, we're creating those, and then they're trying to go back and do some of the others as well. So you can kind of use them in tandem, I guess, is what I would say, for sure.
Awesome.
Any other questions? You guys, I wanted this to be interactive. I don't know that it ended up being interactive. It was hard to have you prototype and do the presentation at the same time, but I'm so grateful for you for taking time from your day. I know